How's it? Today is April 4th. It's Saturday, and today I had a bunch of kind of lightweight stuff, muscle movements, so muscle snatch, muscle clean, with a bunch of pressing stuff for my accessories. Last week, Saturday, I had a push press workout with some floor presses, I believe. So we changed those push presses to these muscle snatches plus overhead squats, and then muscle cleans plus overhead press. And then we kept the floor press. We added a lot of volume here, and then we were going back to that kind of warm up thing where we're treating it as a recovery movements, like those circuits. So today I did 3 sets of 15 of I think it was a single arm, dumbbell single arm, overhead press, bodyweight push ups, and then some tricep press downs. So yeah, for these muscle snatches and the overhead squat, I was really worried about how my hip would feel because last night when I was laying in my bed, it kind of just had like this almost burning sensation. I wouldn't quite say it was a burning sensation, but it didn't feel good at all. And so I tried my best to warm up really, really well. And before starting, I talked to Steve about it, and Steve was saying that I just have to make sure that my knees are really far out, otherwise my glutes will never activate, and then that will cause a lot of pain in my hip, which during today I felt like I was able to get my glutes to be okay. You can see how my knee is. It's really hard to tell here, but my knee is tracking to the lateral side of my foot, so it's even more it activates my glutes a lot, so that my hip kind of gets loaded and it's in some active range of motion, instead of letting it kind of just be passive and let my femur just push into my hip joint. So it's something I just need to be really, really aware of with basically everything I do, because a lot of my pulls, even from the floor, my knees kind of go out, or my knees go in. And so if I can keep my knee out longer, the hip should start feeling a little better. And today was an example that, yeah, this is very true, that when my hip starts to hurt, that usually means my knees are sticking further in than normal. You can see here that my knee is traveling on the outside of my pinky toe, I'd say. But today's rep scheme was just 3 plus 3, 2 plus 2, 1 plus 1, and then all of those rep schemes had 3 sets each. So I went to 117 here for all 3 of my singles, quote unquote singles. So yeah, I was really apprehensive about how it would feel on my hips, but kind of pulling into the bottom hole was painful before I even picked the bar off the ground. So I think I'm trending up. I know that's kind of what I've been saying, that like it feels better here and there, and so it's really nice to actually feel good during the workout. I am not entirely sure about the muscle clean. Its execution is kind of strange to me, but I guess the nuances are different for different people. In my head, the muscle clean shouldn't have any hip contact. Kind of just use my upper body musculature to kind of pull through extension. So that's just how I think it should be executed. I'm not super sure. My brother thinks that the hip contact is okay, but again, I'm not sure the nuances about the technical differences. Um, so I started at 95 for the triple, but I thought it was a little easy, so I went up to 117, and then I moved to 135 here. This is where things start to get a little challenging. You can see how I'm pulling significantly harder, and then my presses overhead are not strong at all. So um, I think I say it later in the workout. I don't know if it's on video, but I probably should have chose 135 as my sets of one, but I got overzealous like normal, and then I ended up at 155 for my last three sets, and that was an interesting experience. I basically died on the press. I even failed one of the muscle cleans at the beginning, but I kind of regrouped and retook it without having to stop the set. So here we go, 155. So this is probably the not easier. Well, you can see that here. I am trying really, really hard. The next rep is definitely the hardest one. Here's the one I fail. Yeah. If I sat back a little bit, I think that was an easy make because I got so high. So I kind of just was like, okay, I can do it. There we go, so much better. And then the press here was not a fun time. Here we go, I get my toes there. But I don't give up, and I was able to make it. Honestly, a little ridiculous. There we go. A smile there. And then here's my final set. I don't know, that didn't look very good for the clean, but it's okay. Press moves smoother, but I would say slower overall. So there it is. And then I moved into the floor press. Did 135 for 5 sets of 10. These are a lot harder than I thought they would be. I think last week I went up to almost 185 for a set of 5. But sets of 10s are they're different. They're really different altogether. They're harder on like endurance. So like it feels like I'm not as strong throughout. But I was able to get all of them without injuring anything. So then I moved into these dumbbell single arm presses. The circuit actually. So dumbbell single arm press, push up, and then banded like push downs, press downs, or whatever. And then Steve said to, when I'm doing these presses, try to get above my end range of motion for the press normally. So lean a little bit into it. You can see it's kind of an awkward movement there. So I just do 15 on each arm. Yeah, this is sped up one and a half times because this set took forever, and this is only the first of the 3 circuits. And I was dying already, so I moved into the push-ups next, and I realized very quickly how hard it would be to finish all of everything else. So I did those presses unbroken for 15, and I wasn't even able to do the push-ups unbroken for 15. So then I moved into the press downs. Press downs are a little bit easier, but I can definitely tell you this was a challenge. Push-ups and the presses into the push-ups are just a hard time. I move into some bamboo overhead walks. I just walk 20 steps, and then I turn around and then walk another 20 steps. So that's, like 40 steps total. Turning around on this is really challenging because it swings, that swing, and especially with the wind, it doesn't help. But will make my shoulders stronger in the long run, I believe. And then I finished up with some belt squats. Steve wanted to make sure that I was well aware of how my knees are tracking so that I could activate my glutes. So he wanted me to be cognizant of that, and then keep these at a high rep range so that I get a lot of extra blood flow. You can see that my knees they even turn out beyond their starting position, which is, I don't know if that's inherently good, but I know that it's not bad. Because it cues glutes and it keeps my hip a little healthier. These felt really good, and yeah, that'll be it for today.